How to eat when you're stressed. Sometimes when you go through stressful times, the way that you eat can be impacted. Either you can find your stomach is in a total knot and you're unable to eat anything, or you can find that stress induces like this anxiety eating and that you overeat and that you kind of binge on foods more than usual because you feel like it's a way to get rid of that stress. None of these are fun, so here are some ways to deal with feeling stressed and how to eat for that. So to get the obvious out of the way, the most important thing to do first is to get your stressors out of the way. You need to address whatever is causing the stress and deal with that, or try to manage it as best you can. But I'm aware that this isn't always easy, obviously. I do want to point out that if you know that it's something that is going to be very short term, like this stress, let's say that it's like an exam period or something like that, then it's okay to kind of like eat whatever you want, whenever you want, or like don't eat. But if you know that this is going to go on for a pretty long time while you're kind of addressing whatever's stressing you and you're like learning to deal with that, then you do need to put in place certain strategies that when it comes to eating so that it doesn't like take a huge toll on you. And we're going to talk about these strategies today. So first of all, let's look at the case when stress causes your stomach to just be like tied up in a knot. It causes you to feel like nauseous and you're just not hungry. What do you do in that situation? Losing your appetite when you're stressed is a pretty normal thing because your cortisol, so like kind of like the stress hormone, will increase during these periods of time. And this is normal because in the past when we were experiencing like a very stressful situation, maybe like predators were coming, we had to be focused on that situation. We had to be ready to flee or fight from that situation. And so we couldn't be bothered with feeling hunger. And so that's the reason why today, when you feel stressed, your cortisol kind of shoots, your adrenaline kind of spikes, and you kind of lose your appetite. So obviously during these situations, you still need to get some food in. So first thing you can try is to try to eat on a schedule as much as possible, because at least if you're eating mechanically, your body will learn to expect food at certain times, and it's easier to then build those hunger cues when they are like when you're eating always at the same time. And even if you're not able to experience hunger cues, even if you still don't feel that hunger, at least it'll become something that is just so ingrained in your routine that it's not going to be like overwhelming to eat or anything like that. The second piece of advice may seem like it's in a contradiction with that one, and it's take every opportunity you can to eat. Even if eating while following a schedule can be helpful to build your hunger cues over time, it's still very important that you prioritize listening to any type of hunger that your body may feel. If we're basing ourselves off the fact that you rarely feel hunger because you're so stressed, anytime that you do feel hunger, you want to kind of congratulate your body for giving you these signals, and you want to honor them and you want to fuel that hunger. It's kind of like you have to take this opportunity. You may not be hungry, you may not feel hunger for another day, so you might as well eat while your body is giving you the signal that it's okay for you to eat. This is also the case whenever you do feel like something suddenly sounds appealing to you. You also want to jump on that opportunity. Another helpful tip would be to make sure that you always have some kind of meal option on hand, because sometimes when you're not hungry or like stressed and therefore not hungry, the idea of cooking is like even worse than the idea of eating. It's like if somebody were to spoon feed you a meal, you would be like, okay, fine, I can eat that. But if you have to cook and do all of these extra steps, there's no way you're gonna do it if you're not feeling the hunger. So you wanna make it as easy as possible for yourself to eat. And the best thing that you could do is whenever you do feel some type of motivation to cook or like some type of hunger, is to cook in very large quantities. So just double, triple, quadruple the recipe, whatever that you are going to make, then put that in containers and store that in your fridge. That way you always have a meal ready. And that would be like the ideal option, homemade food. But it's also okay to resort to pre-made meals sometimes, or at least you can get frozen foods, jarred foods, microwavable foods, things that are really easy, that don't require too much prepping. And then for the days where you really have like no will whatsoever to cook anything because you're like so stressed and like not hungry at all, you can have like a prepackaged meal or like a meal bar or a meal replacement drink. And another thing that can be helpful is to turn to your all-time favorite food. I'm sure you have this one food or this one meal that you can eat and not get sick of, and that is what you should resort to on the days where you're really not hungry. Like for me, it's pasta. I never get sick of pasta. Even if I'm not hungry, I can always eat a little bit of pasta and feel okay. I'm not saying that you have to eat a huge ton of whatever food it is that you like, but at least a little bit. And if there's nothing that you really like and crave, I'm sure there are at least some foods that you tolerate. Maybe this could be like pretty bland, easy to eat, easy to digest, easy to cook foods that you can try kind of having, so that again you fill yourself up a little bit, but it's not too costing. And something that I found really helpful as well is that instead of looking at your day and being like, okay, I have to have like 3 big meals and that seeming overwhelming, you can break those meals down into multiple little snacks. Sometimes snacks can be easier to get down than meals. And just because it's like a snack doesn't mean it has to be something unhealthy or like just like candy or whatever. You can make pretty balanced snack options that are going to go down easier than entire meals. You can try having peanut butter and bread and make sure that you're spreading lots of peanut butter on that bread. You can dip some apple slices into almond butter. You can have banana with some dark chocolate. You can have veggie sticks with hummus. You can have some oatmeal with fruit. And for some more specific ideas, try to have anything blended. So smoothies and soups, they are really great allies when you are stressed and you feel like food can't go down, because it's much easier to get your food down through a drink than through eating. So I would definitely recommend trying to put a bunch of nutritious things in your smoothies. You need to be putting like a bunch of fruit and some milk, whatever type of milk you like, some nut butter or like even nuts, actual nuts in your smoothies, and some seeds if you can. You can even put things like white beans to add some like creaminess and protein. And you can put things like oats as well. Again, it will add this creaminess, it will add fiber, protein. So don't hesitate to play around with different ingredients to make smoothies that are really nourishing and that you can just sip throughout a long period of time to get in that nutrition kind of effortlessly. And then if you're cold or if you want to have like a dinner that's not a smoothie, do the same with soups. Put a bunch of veggies in your soup, but also make sure that you're putting in things like lentils or beans, different types of beans or quinoa, things to make it a little bit more dense, and to add sauces that you like and nuts and seeds as well. And then obviously homemade is always better when it comes to smoothies or soups or like drinks in general, but eating is always better than not eating. So if you don't feel like making these things yourself, you can absolutely get pre-made smoothies, pre-made like pre-packaged soups, and like they have good energy and nutrients in them, so you can have an option on those extra stressful days. And then another trick is to try to make your food as nutrient dense as possible without even realizing it. So you can add a bunch of toppings to your foods, like again, nuts and seeds, or cheese or whatever. And then whenever you have the opportunity to sneak in a little more, then you can in anything, like to put extra cheese in your pasta, extra olive oil in your salad, extra peanut butter on your sandwich, extra whatever. Do it. It's going to give you a little extra calories, and when you are too stressed to eat anything, a little bit like that counts. What about when you stress eat out of anxiety? So again, the most important thing to do in this situation is of course to address the cause of the stress. But in the meantime, here are a few tips that you can follow. So first of all, make sure that you're giving your body full, healthy, balanced meals multiple times a day. Because if you're just nibbling on a few things throughout the day and then you wonder why you're like binging on a bag of cookies and then a whole tub of ice cream, stress is not probably the main factor for that. It's that you're hungry. It's that you're not getting the right nutrients. So first things first, make sure that all of your meals are well-rounded and balanced and also really satisfying to you. Another thing you need to do is you really need to make sure that you are removing restrictions, that you're not telling yourself that it's bad to have a cookie, it's bad to have pizza, that these foods are all okay to have as long as they are part of a balanced diet. You really have to let go of your food rules and regulations and give yourself permission to eat, and that will help you eat foods that you find comforting in a way that is balanced and not in a restrict then binge kind of way. Also, you really shouldn't feel guilty when you turn to food to cope with stress, because food is more than just something to fuel your body and give you energy. It's multiple things, and it can also be a coping mechanism, and that's fine. It just can't be your only coping mechanism. So on the one hand, you have to work on letting yourself be okay with that and not feel guilty for using food as a way to cope with stress sometimes. But on the other hand, you also have to find other things that help you cope with that stress. Maybe meditation, maybe journaling, maybe listening to music, maybe walking your dog, maybe turning on music and dancing in your room, maybe reading, calling a friend, whatever. You kind of need to stop this automatic pathway in your mind that is like, okay, I'm stressed, so I have to eat. That's like the easy pathway, and now you have to break it. It's also important that you eat as mindfully as you can. And I know that this is hard, especially when you're stressed, but if you're really able to focus on the food that you're eating, if you're able to remove the distractions, take the time to eat, take the time to chew, and appreciate what you're eating fully, then it's going to be much harder for you to like binge on a bunch of stuff. Whenever you see yourself reaching for all this food to shovel down your throat, you need to take a step back. Don't be like, oh, I can't have this food, it's bad. No, just be very intentional about it. Ask yourself, is this what I'm craving? Am I hungry? Is this too much? Do I feel too full? Do I need to stop? Ask yourself all of these questions. And you have to remember that mindful eating is a whole process and it takes time. You have to be patient with it, but it's really worth it, and it can definitely help manage stress eating. And I have an entire playlist on mindful and intuitive eating if you're interested, that you can check out here or in the description. And finally, there are certain foods that have specific properties that can help reduce stress. Nothing miraculous, obviously, but if you're working towards managing your stress symptoms, and eating these foods can be a little bonus. So you want to be eating avocados, which are rich in B and C vitamins and magnesium and omega-3s. You can eat bananas, which are also rich in magnesium and B and C vitamins, as well as in potassium. Blueberries are super high in antioxidants, and they help with cognitive function. Chocolate has magnesium, polyphenols, and is also very comforting in stressful situations. Fermented foods can help your gut-brain regulation and help mood improving signals. Leafy green veggies containing antioxidants as well as folates. Nuts contain tryptophan, which is an amino acid that then gets converted into serotonin, which is like the feel-good hormone. And same thing with carbs. They also release serotonin, the feel-good hormone. And if you want to know more about these foods and how you can eat to help reduce your stress, I made a video about that right here or in the description. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like it and subscribe, and see you on my next one. Bye.